Welcome, yogis. Happy Monday. My name is Brady, and this is the Ironwood Yoga Studio virtual yoga. Today's class is Yin Yoga. Quick reminder that as a style of yoga, Yin Yoga targets the deeper connective tissues in the body. And you'll be doing that today following 3 basic guidelines. Playing a soft edge, inviting some stillness, and holding the poses for time. Hopefully you have any props that you would like to use already gathered and near you on your mat. They can be yoga props, they could be just stuff you have laying around the house. Cushions, pillows, blankets, towels. Today I will be using 3 yoga blankets, 2 blocks, maybe a strap. As always, practice from a place of less ego and more awareness. Okay, yogis, find a comfortable seat, and that might mean that you have something underneath. Sit cross-legged if you can. And as you settle in there, you'll root down just a bit, and that'll make you a little more dynamic as you rise up through the crown. Feel the crown over the tail. And once you're there, you can close your eyes, or you can find a point down in front and just put a soft gaze on it. And we'll just sit here and notice. Maybe notice the breath. Notice different sensations in the body. If you have any thoughts showing up, notice them and then just let them drift away. So maybe your approach today is to hold space for whatever shows up. Judgment-free, agenda-free. Just staying curious, staying more present in the moment. Your breath can help you with that. If the eyes are closed, gently flicker them open. And here we are. Okay, today we'll get started with some seated yin postures. And the first one is half butterfly. Go ahead and extend your left leg. And as you bend the right leg, let the knee fall out. Slide the bottom of that foot up the inside of the left leg just until you meet resistance. If you have any props that you want to add for cushion or support, go ahead. I like a little support under my bent leg. And then I'm also going to roll a blanket and place it underneath the knee on my extended leg. Check in with your pelvis. Try to have a forward tilt to that. And once you're all set up there, square yourself more over the extended leg. And as you're ready, bring the torso forward and down. And you'll just go wherever you go. Meaning, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. Find a soft edge. Since I have these blocks, I think I'm going to use them, my hands will go there, maybe my forearms eventually. See how my body responds. And then you just settle in. Since your level of effort is non-aggressive, more gentle, the breath should reflect that. If it's not, then you might be going at it a little bit too hard. If there's any tension showing up in the upper back and the shoulders, if you don't need it, try to let it melt. Slowly, mindfully bring your torso more upright, neutral. Take a moment, pause. And then from here, move those props aside. Keep this left leg straight. Just reposition it so it's more forward. And then this right leg, it's still going to be bent, but it's going to go on top. Try to stack the knees. This foot just sort of goes wherever it goes. Some of you that are a little more open in the hips, if you want, you could fold the bottom leg. I think I'm going to keep the bottom leg extended. So just sort of notice the knees stacked. Do what you can. And this blanket that I had rolled up, I'm going to put it underneath that extended leg again. Check the hips, check the pelvis. Leaning forward. Once you have your setup, bring your torso forward and down. Add any props. If you wanted to add the arms here, you could take one arm high, one arm low, behind the back. Try to clasp. I can't get the clasp with my fingers, so in my case, I would use a strap or even a little towel, something that just bridges that distance. And this is entirely optional. And it doesn't really matter which arm goes high and which arm goes low. Just remember what you did so that when we do it on the other side, we can switch it up. If it feels like your arms have had enough, you can always get rid of that piece of the pose and just go back to a regular setup. So you just do what makes sense in the moment. Once again, release. Come on up. When the torso is upright, pause. And there's one more part to this sequence, yogis. I'm going to move my props aside. And this bottom leg, whether or not it's extended or bent, you can just keep it how it is. And this top leg, just reposition it so the foot is down on the outside of that left knee. We won't be here as long. Just hug yourself nice and tall. Your left arm can come behind you. And we're just going to twist. So this might be your setup. You might take the arm high, get some length, and place it on the outside of that right knee, right thigh. Be nice, so nothing crazy. Notice the breath. Try not to collapse through the torso, through the chest. And then just gently start to unwind. A little counter, you could lean forward and left. Come on up. And then counter pose time. So maybe bounce, wiggle, squeeze, point, and flex. You might want to windshield wiper those knees with the feet down. Lean back. Lift the heart broad across the chest. If it's okay with the head and the neck, maybe the head falls back. You might want to lift your hips. Your practice, your counter poses. And let's do that sequence on the other side. First, half butterfly. Right leg extends. When I bend my left leg, I let the knee fall out. So we're opening that hip, external rotation. And when I slide the foot up, I just stop when I meet my edge. This angle that I'm creating with my thighs, it's unique to me. So yours might be a little wider, yours might be a little narrower. Since I have blankets, I'm going to use them for a little support and cushion, just like I did on the other side. Check in with the hips set up, the pelvis leaning forward. Turn yourself to face that extended leg more. And then start to move into your expression. Adding any other props. I have you doing about 3.5 minute holds today on these poses. Except for the twist. The twist is just a shorter one. As you're holding space, if the mind drifts off, no big deal, just come on back. You can use the breath as the anchor. Every time you wander off, just come on back to the breath. Gently come on up. No hurry. When you're more neutral, take a few moments. Props can move aside for the moment. I'm going to reposition my extended leg. Basically, just straight forward from the hip. And then this bent leg is going to stay bent. It's going to go on top. I try to stack my knees. Just do the best that you can. If you wanted to bend this bottom leg, you could do that as well. Blanket goes underneath my extended leg knee. Check in with my hips. Things are tilted forward. That looks pretty good. Adding any props. And then I'll start to move into the pose. If you want to add the arms for part of this or all of it, go ahead and do that. Remembering to switch sides. Switch the setup on this side. And then it's those 3 guidelines. Play a soft edge, try not to fidget, and hold the pose for time. If and when your arms or your shoulders have enough of that arm variation, you can lose it and just move into a different one if you want. Gently start to release from your pose. Bring that torso more upright. Pause. Feel. And then the last part of this sequence is that twist. So the bottom leg can be extended or bent however you had it. And I'm just going to reposition the sole of that left foot outside the right knee. I'm going to hug myself tall. This might be it, or that left arm comes behind. This might be it. You can twist from here. I like to reach, get some stretch, and then I just put that arm wherever it goes. That gives me a little bit of leverage. And nothing too crazy. Remember to breathe. Gently start to unwind. A little counter, forward and right. And then come on up. Start to move into counter poses. So a little movement, you might want to engage and release all that muscle tissue on the lower half and the hips. Some movement, some shape, whatever makes sense to you. Just a nice counter or a nice complement to the shape that you had the body in for these last several minutes. All right, yogis, next we're going to move into a pose called half saddle. And I'm going to turn sideways on my mat. This will target sort of the front thigh, some hip flexor, some back. It depends on your unique body and the expression that you take. So I know that I have some issues in my knees. So for me to take this pose, some height underneath my seat definitely helps. If I had a bolster, I might sit on that. But since I have my blocks, I'm going to put my blocks there and then maybe one of my blankets. So that's going to help me out in this pose. And this is half saddle. So what I do is I get up on this little prop support. One leg is going to be extended and one leg bends and comes behind. If you can remember in school, we used to call this a hurdler stretch. See where the knees can go. This side isn't as bad as far as flexion for me, so I'm able to get the knees closer. And then notice how you want to put the foot. If you can bring it in, you can get some nice extension through the ankle joint. So again, this is all unique to you. So yours will look different, maybe similar, who knows? This might be enough already. If you're able to, start to lean back. Some of you will lean all the way back. Some people will put a bolster or a nice cushion underneath them to lean back. Some people won't need it. Since I can't go super far, you'll notice I have my hands down and my arms are serving to support me. And I just settle in right here. There's discomfort for me in this pose, but it's that kind of discomfort that I know isn't hurting anything. And it's to my benefit, big picture. So I sort of settle in and I'm comfortable with that discomfort. Using the breath to sit with it. holding space for what's showing up, judgment-free, expectation-free. So again, some of you, your pose might look quite a bit different than mine. You might not need much of anything under your seat, and you might be reclined. You might be reclined with the arms extended, grabbing opposite elbows. You might be more upright than I am. As long as you're feeling it and you're avoiding that bad pain, then you're good. Your knee might even be elevated a bit, and you might have a cushion under it. As you're ready, start to release from your expression. I sort of walk the hands closer, bring my torso up. Once I'm there, I can pause a little bit. I'm going to lean away from this bent leg side, and then it's just easier to release. Once that leg is straight, I'm going to pause and adjust to those sensations. Maybe move a little bit, point, flex, squeeze, and release. Other side. Other leg is straight. Other leg is bent. So for me, this leg, this knee won't go into super deep flexion. So I know that going in. I'm paying attention. Super mindful. So on this side, I don't get to bring the knees as close together because it's not working for this side. I place the foot somewhere. It makes sense. I think I am going to put a little cushion, just a little bit under this knee, under that bent leg knee. I'm trying to have the foot back behind here so I'm getting some nice extension through that ankle joint as well. And then you just start to move in your expression. I'm a little wonky. I'm a little offside here because of this, but that's okay. As long as I'm feeling it, I'm careful, I'm honoring the body that I brought to my mat today. Send your breath wherever it's needed. Remember, you might have a bolster or a big pillow underneath your torso, and you might be reclined all the way back. Or you might not need any of that stuff. Making those little adjustments as needed, when needed. That's not fidgeting, that's playing the proper edge. Slowly start to come up out of your variation. I lean away from the bent leg side. Eventually, I'll bring it around, pausing when I need to pause. And then maybe a little bit of movement, some counter. All right, yogis. We're going to come around onto our backs. We're going to take a reclined butterfly pose. So butterfly, that involves the legs, soles of the feet together, heels in, knees out. Now you can take any variation of this depending on what you want to do and what props you have. You can use a bolster, you can put it on an incline, you can use blankets behind the spine, behind the heart space. So this is yogi's choice. The most basic one would just be no props, butterfly, lay back, and the arms out. So this is the basic starting point, and then you can add props from here. Today, as an example, I'm going to use my blocks actually to support my torso and put it on an incline. And I think I'm going to use my blankets for a little support for the legs. So for now, I'm going to have the blankets aside, but I'm going to have them handy. You can move into your variation if you want. Now what I'm doing with these blocks, I have one block on a medium. That's going to go along underneath my spine, kind of by my heart space. And this other block on the tall height is going to go behind and help support my head. And I'll probably have to adjust these as I move into it. I start with my knees bent, feet down. So first I'll lay back, I'll make little adjustments. This block I'll have to move for my head. So that feels okay. I feel nice and supported. I feel safe. Does it feel as good as a bolster? Of course not, but feels pretty good. And then as I butterfly my legs, I'm just going to scoop these blankets in. Maybe I'll fold them one more time and I'll support. All of this is optional, yogis. And then you just sort of add the arms. So place the arms. If you have any shoulder issues, be careful. But we want the benefit of a heart opener. So we get a heart opener and a hip opener. And it's mostly gravity just doing the work. Our job is to really let go. Know that you're safe on your mat, safe and supported by those props. And then you can really surrender. So you might notice the shoulders sort of drifting further away from each other. And this lengthening of those large muscles of the chest happening. Really try to soften and relax around your hips. All those big muscles there that make up the glutes, upper thigh, front and back. Soften your eyes, soften around the mouth. Relax your tongue. Couple more breaths, yogis. Bring some awareness back into your body. And then as you're ready, start to come out of your setup. Maybe roll to one side away from any prop setup. Come side lying, fetal position. I extend the bottom arm, and then there's a nice place to rest my head. Knees drawn in, allow the spine to round, and I just hang out. Use your hands and arms. Press yourself up. Next, we're going to take a supported bridge pose. Ideally, block is nice for this because you can change the height as the body opens up. Nice and easy. You could also do that by adding blankets or folding blankets more. You're going to be supporting underneath the sacrum. And the sacrum is towards the end of the spine. It's not the low back lumbar spine. It's more where it starts to make the pelvic girdle. It's that collection of fused vertebrae that sort of looks triangular. Some people don't go low enough. So just know that. So you'll have some props that you're going to put underneath that sacrum. And if you have a block, that's what I recommend. Start with the legs bent and the feet down, basically about hip distance, but it's just whatever's comfortable. And then I'm just going to press the feet and lift my hips. Slide the prop under, which for me is going to be the block. I'm going to start on the shortest height. Just to get my initial setup and let the body adjust to the shape. If you're a little bit more flexible, you might have more height underneath there. And at first, I'm going to keep my legs bent and my feet flat because I know I'm going to go higher. If you know you're where you're at, feel free to take a different shape with the legs. If it feels like your body is ready to go a little bit higher, I feel okay. So I'm going to press my feet. I'm going to lift my hips. And I'm going to rotate that block to the medium height. You could have folded a blanket more, added a blanket, put a cushion, something different than a block. I like to get my shoulders under me more. I want to be open across the chest, palms to the sky. So much of our day, we're sort of closing and collapsing the front side of our body just by the nature of what we do day to day. So whenever I get a chance to open and not collapse the front body, I'm going to do it. And again, you might like a different leg shape. Some people go totally straight, or maybe just a little less bend, but the feet are still down. Some people will pigeon toe, or they'll take a butterfly shape. So that's totally up to you. If you feel okay and you want, remember, not ego-driven, awareness-driven. So honest assessment. Does it feel like your body maybe can benefit from going a little bit higher? Then you might go higher. So today, this is good for me. If I were to straighten my legs, I know, because I'm already sort of at my edge, I know it would be too much. But as long as I have my legs bent and my feet down, today this is nice for me. And I'm going to get my shoulders under, broad, pretty neutral with my head and my neck. And I'm just hanging out, holding space. Couple more breaths wherever you are. As mindfully as you moved in, be careful, be mindful coming out. You may have rolled to one side if you had a pillow underneath. If you did roll to one side, get the whatever prop that was there out of the way. And eventually, we're going to come onto our back once again, and we're going to draw the knees in towards the chest. It might feel good to hang out there. A little bit of movement. So for me, these little circles feel good, so I'm going to do that both directions. Maybe I'll make those circles a little bigger when I feel like my low back is ready for it. So while that wasn't uncomfortable when I was in that pose, I really felt it when I came out. Not in a bad way, but in a way that told me, pay attention to what you're doing. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm being present to the experience. Next, we're going to move into happy baby. Now, your happy baby, you might just sort of hook the arms behind the knees as they fall out wide, and that might be enough for you. But if you can get the feet, get the feet. Get a grip inside, outside, big toe, wherever. Whatever your setup is here, we're just going to hang out. Try to let the arms be heavy. Let your upper back and your shoulders be heavy. If you want to rock a little bit in your happy baby setup, you can. I'll usually introduce a little bit, and then quite often I'll make a little figure 8 motion. Finishing up, you'll just release any grip. Take those 2 straight legs to the sky. Maybe support. Eventually hands down by the side. If you want more, you can sort of lift the seat and slide the hands under. And if you want more, lift your head and your chest up. All of that is optional. And then with control, slowly lower those legs long and light. Firm the belly, stable spine. Nothing too crazy. Eventually just let the feet touch down. Turn those palms to face up. And we'll just notice. Okay, yogis, let's do some reclined twist. So however you like to twist, maybe it's one leg drawn in, both legs drawn in, wrapping the legs. However you like to twist, set it up. I think I'm going to wrap my legs, so I'm going to twist to the right. When I do that, my left leg is on top when I wrap. You might have something else in mind, but you're encouraged, whatever you do on one side, sort of approximate it on the other side. And whenever I twist to the right, as part of my setup, my hips go a couple inches left. And then when I move into the twist, I might add props for support and cushion. And then I just settle in. I try to keep my shoulder blades heavy on the mat, but I'm not obsessed about it. I'm just surrendering into it. Feel free to make little adjustments as they make sense. Keep the breath smooth. Begin to release. I just unwind. I come to center, scoot the hips so everything's more neutral, and then I just pause. When I'm ready, I move. Feels good to windshield wiper, so that's what I'm going to do. You might have something else that you're doing. Just a nice little counter between sides, part of the transition. Start to set up your twist to the other side. I'm going to wrap my legs. We call this twisted roots in Yin. And since I'm twisting left, my right leg is going to be on top. I scoop my hips, and then I move into it. I think I'm going to put a blanket underneath just because I can. My shoulder blades feel heavy on the mat. And now we just settle in and surrender. Stay soft in your face and notice how that helps relax the body. Gently unwind. Maybe scoot the hips, find that neutral position and pause there. And then maybe hug some little counter. Next, start to set up for your final resting pose. Setting up your Shavasana. Reminder that that's the ultimate pose of surrender. Feel free to use props, using them in a way that's not stressing your body. Something behind the knees can be nice. If you have something to cover the eyes, that can be nice. So settle in. You'll get about 5 full minutes here, yogis. It's where there's nothing to do, there's no one to be. This is Shavasana. Bring some awareness back. Feel the body, feel the breath. Little movements, fingers, toes. Maybe a stretch. No hurry, but eventually we're going to come seated. So just roll to one side, and when you're ready, come more upright, finding your easy seat. Use any props you may have. Have the torso more upright, the spine light and lifted. A few final moments of silence, noticing. Take this feeling that you created, share it with the people and the things that matter. Come back and we'll do it again. As always, have some gratitude for both yourself and this practice. Draw hands to heart. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Be safe, be well. I'll see you soon. Namaste. All right, thank you, yogis. See you next time.